the quality of your life in relation to your deepest fears. Tony Robbins has an interesting quote around this. He says, the quality of your life is in direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. I thought this was pretty interesting because a lot of the times there's another phrase that kind of goes along with this. Your average salary, or your salary, is the average of your 5 closest friends. So this one's kind of a different way of looking at it. It's the quality of your life is in direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. So what is your peer group expecting of you? If you look at the cross-section of society and you look at kind of the middle, or maybe even the lower middle, they're going to expect you to maybe know what's on TV, what's the latest TV show, what's the basketball scores, and things like that. Whereas if you look at a little higher, you're going to see expectation is maybe college, maybe the expensive cars. If you go a little bit higher, then you start seeing some interesting expectations. What are you reading? Are you doing personal development? Are you growing? Are you able to double your income this year over last year? So your expectations really start changing. How many people did you help this year? Imagine if you were around a group of people who all had a goal of helping 1,000 people do whatever, succeed, go to college, start a business, whatever it may be. But imagine if that's your peer group instead of what happened on Survivor last week. So the dynamic really starts to change. And what the science kind of behind this is really showing is that our peer group has influences over us because of our deepest fear. And that fear is the fear of not being enough. And when we're not enough, that actually leads to another fear, which is not being loved or not being accepted. So it's kind of this weird, vicious cycle. If we're around people that have expectations that aren't good for us, we're going to follow them because we want to feel belonging and we want to feel loved. And if we think we go against that peer group, we won't have those things, which in a lot of cases is actually true. But this is why we need to find a peer group that's adding value to our lives, not taking away from our lives. And that's really a hard thing to do sometimes, because sometimes family isn't a good peer group. Sometimes the people we grew up with isn't a good peer group. So we have to kind of curate that really close and closely guard who we consider our peers. And take that and say, okay, family member, or okay, childhood friend, I love you, but we're going to put a little bit of distance, some healthy boundaries, because I'm not interested in who got kicked off The Bachelor. I'm interested in building a business, or I'm interested in this. So we have to be kind of a little careful of our time. Time is our most precious resource. It's a non-renewable resource at that. So we have to be very protective of that, just like our peer group, because they influence the expectations, and the expectations influences what we're going to be doing in our life. And the other way to kind of help combat it is strengthen your identity. Strengthen how you perceive not being loved. Where are you actually deriving your self-worth from? And where are you deriving your love from? For example, if we rely on somebody else to give us self-worth, we're always going to be lacking. Because they can't give us 100% of their time always. There's always going to be a moment in time where they're not going to be able to give it to us. So if we derive it from other people, we're already selling ourselves short. You have to derive it from inside. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes because we're not taught this. There's lots of kind of techniques and subconscious coaching and all the principles of the subconscious mind. And there's lots of wonderful ways. Meditation, for example, is one of those. Finding your grounded and centered core and then build outward from there. Filling your mind with good things instead of not so good things. For example, the news. And it's really kind of a bad term. It's not the news anymore. It's sensationalist media, right? They're sole purpose is to sell advertisements. And to get you to watch advertisements, they put stuff, clickbait for all intents and purposes, and controversy to make you watch more. This is not the news. News is facts. These guys are not doing facts anymore. It's just how it is. The day of Walter Cronkite is long gone. So you have to be careful. What are you feeding your mind? Are you filling it with, awesome knowledge written by people who wanted to help society and help the world? Or are you filling it with stuff that's not that? And then deal with your fears directly. If you lose a friendship or if you lose a loved one, it's hurt. It's hard. You go through difficulties. But they're not the source of deep love. They're not the source of happiness or connection. It all starts from here, and it's amplified by the people around you. So if you work on your core self, you can become unshakable to the point where you glow and people just want to be around you. And it's hard. It takes a lot of work. It's not something that's easy, and therefore a lot of people don't choose to do it. But it's a worthwhile adventure, a worthwhile endeavor. So my question to you is, are you willing to look at your peer group? Are you willing to curate your peer group so that the expectations on you puts you in a direction in which you want to go? If you need help with that, send me a message, or if you have questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow.